On the surface, the Transformers universe apparently seems to be divided between the Autobots, who are the world's savior, and the Decepticons, who are always cunning and dreaming of world dominance. For a rookie, the world of Transformers could be all about their eternal clash. However, as Autobots leader Optimus Prime famously said, there's more than meets the eye. Cybertron stories go way deeper and are way richer, as there are numerous varieties and factions of newly introduced robotic beings. While most of these zazzy and uber-cool Transformer robots can flip into cars and trucks, the main difference lies in their different loyalties and the future they see for their home planet, Cybertron. From the prehistoric Dinobots to the Maximals, with their ability to transform into beasts, let's take a look at 13 such different varieties and factions from the Transformers universe, which keeps things interesting. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Autobots. In the Transformers universe, the Autobots are the only ones standing in the path of the Decepticons' dream of world dominance. Led by a 9-million-year-old Optimus Prime, the defenders of Earth stand their ground against every threat and thwart every plan, be it their arch-nemesis, the Decepticons, or the planet-eating Unicron. Unlike the ever-scheming and manipulative Decepticons, the Autobots are known for their sense of justice and duty to protect the Earth, which they carry out with unflinching dedication. Although still seen by some humans as a ticking bomb, the Autobots have time and again proven themselves as staunch allies, and stepped up whenever the world was facing its cataclysmic end, which threatened to obliterate humanity. While Optimus Prime has been the face of the Autobots, there are many more resourceful and noteworthy Autobots who have thrived under Optimus' leadership. Unlike the Decepticons, whose innate instinct is to destroy and unleash havoc, the Autobots range from brainy scientists to selfless, fierce warriors like Bumblebee, who are ready to sacrifice their lives for the greater good. Despite not being as combative and war-hungry as the Decepticons, the Autobots have prevailed over their opponents with their courage and dignity. With the ability to heal, grow, and regenerate, each Autobot plays a distinct role and showcases not only their powers and heroism, but also their spirit of honor and determination. With the Transformers universe ever expanding, along with key figures like Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, many new names have been added to the roster. The live-action movies have introduced fresh faces, like the lone female Autobot, RC, or the combat strategist Jazz, who have made a name for themselves among the OG Transformers. As the franchise keeps growing, with the addition of these new heroic robots standing shoulder to shoulder with the legendary Transformers, even in the face of lethal and menacing threats, it's good to know the fate of the universe is in the right hands. Decepticons. Another faction from the planet Cybertron is the brutal, fascist, and always warmongering Decepticons. Justifying their name, these deceptive and merciless robot aliens are driven by their singular goal of world dominance, and these villainous machines would not stop until they had fulfilled their goal of vanquishing everyone standing in their way. Fortunately, they have not succeeded yet. The constant conflicts between the Autobots and the malevolent Decepticons led to their home planet, Cybertron, being totally drained of energon, the juice required by both alien factions to be up and running. So when the Autobots made their way to Earth in the hopes of finding an energy source, the sly Decepticons followed them, led by the deceitful Megatron, who would go to any lengths to serve his own selfish purpose and gain power. He never let any opportunity pass by him to annihilate Optimus and the Autobots from their existence. However, despite his numerous attempts to defeat the Autobots so that no one could stand between his dreams of controlling the world, all his plans have been foiled, leaving him more resentful of the Autobots. Interestingly, Megatron, who once waged war against the inequality and bias he faced and was only seeking peace for Cybertron, soon lost his way and became corrupted due to his need for control over everything. Due to his ambition to be all and rule the world, he lost sight of the greater good and transformed into the feared and vile being he's known as today. Predacons. A group of prehistoric Cybertronian beasts, the Predacons are dragon-like beings who are, well, predatory in nature. Initially originating from the mystical fountain called the Well of Allsparks, these bloodthirsty creatures were the largest Cybertronians in size to be born from the fountain. Known for their gruesome and dragon-like appearances, the Predacons were feared by other Cybertronians. While early Cybertronians harnessed energon from beneath the ground, these beasts would hunt their fellow Cybertronians for their energon and feed themselves. The group was led by the Predaking, a fascinating culmination of 5 individual Predacons, namely Razorclaw, a calculated leader, Rampage, a warrior though always distracted, Divebomb, a flyer, the fierce and always enraged Tantrum, and the loyal and devoted Headstrong. Unlike others, Predaking displayed a united and seamless merging of mind, personality, and body, thus making him an unstoppable and intimidating weapon without anyone equal to them. Abilities like physical prowess, astute intelligence, and animalistic fast reflexes made them one of the most fatal forces among the Decepticons. However, the Predacons' legacy was abruptly cut short when a tragic event called the Great Cataclysm led to their extinction. This disastrous event left behind Predacon fossils and bones on Cybertron's plate, which were later used by the Decepticon scientist Shockwave to clone them, with the intention of using their force to win over the Autobots.
Now roll out!
Dinobots. We watch each other's back, we stick together through thick and thin, and no one ever tells us what to do. As rightly said by the Dinobots' leader, Grimlock, the Dinobots were a small faction within the Autobots who refused to bow their knees before anyone. Twice as cool as the Autobots and Decepticons combined, these super cool robot warriors could change into dinosaurs and were instantly popular among younger enthusiasts. Not one to follow orders blindly and thus not well liked by Optimus and vice versa, the Dinobots have aided the Autobots reluctantly time and again. These robotic aliens originated when Ironhide came across some fossilized dinosaur bones near their base, which Wheeljack and Ratchet used to create the fascinating Dinobots. Fiercely loyal to each other over any Autobots, the group includes their leader Grimlock, the mean-spirited and extremely violent Slug who could fight anyone over anything, the dim-witted Sludge, the loner who just follows orders without questioning Snarl, and surprisingly, the friendliest and most jovial Dinobot called Swoop. Despite being exceptionally powerful and deadly among the Autobots, these Dinobots have been pushed to the fringes because of their loyalty to no one else except their own group and purpose. These riotous and unruly Dinobots viewed the Autobots as weak and spiritless, as they would not go to any lengths to pursue their motives, which in the Dinobots' eyes were considered cowardly. With this boisterous attitude, they were allies to no one but themselves. In the 2004 comic titled Transformers: The Beast Within, it is the Dinobots who saved the day by combining and turning into the Beast, when Autobots were fighting a losing battle against the Decepticons. Grimlock and his group of Dinobots made another electrifying appearance in the 2014 live-action film titled Transformers: Age of Extinction, and stole the limelight from both the Autobots and the Decepticons. They've been a popular fan favorite for their loathsome but dazzling personalities and their noteworthy fighting prowess.
Obliterate them!
Maximals. Descendants of the Autobots, the Maximals were first introduced in the animated series titled Beast Wars Transformers in the 90s. The events took place eons ago, when both the Autobots and Decepticons signed the Pax Cybertron after the Great War ended, with the Autobots winning it. After the war, Cybertron saw many technological advances, with new species developing during the Great Upgrade. This period saw species evolve through the fusion of organic life and mechanics, which led to the creation of the Maximals and Predacons. Both factions shared the traits with their ancestors. While the villainous Predacons were exactly akin to their Decepticon forefathers, the Maximals too were like the Autobots, with a positive value and civil nature. However, they could transform and take the form of beasts instead of the typical vehicle forms. In the animated series Beast Wars, Optimus Primal, the commander of the Maximal ship Axelon, pursues the Predacon vessels. They found themselves on a planet so replete with unstable energy, and to save themselves they had to take their beast forms to endure it. While the Maximals have made quite a few appearances in animated versions, they made their first live-action appearance in the film Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. The movie opens with the Maximals fleeing their lush home and arriving on a prehistoric Earth when a planet-eating Unicron makes its way to their home. Initially, the Maximals and the Autobots do not trust each other, but soon find themselves on the same side. There are 4 Chief Maximals that feature in the movie, led by Optimus Primal, who can transform into a gorilla, the heart of the crew, Airazor, who can change into a peregrine falcon, the Maximal scout, Cheetor, who can take the form of a cheetah, as is evident by his transformation. And lastly, the wise Rhinox can take the shape of a white rhinoceros. The movie places the form-changing Maximals alongside the mighty Autobots as they stand shoulder to shoulder, saving the world from its doom. Constructicons. Earlier known as the Constructobots, The Constructicons debuted in the 1984 cartoon series titled The Transformers. The very first faction of combiners, the Constructicons were initially the peaceful creators of the Crystal City, but when Megatron came knocking at their door, he brainwashed them and changed them into vile Decepticons. This transformation came with them changing into Devastators. The Devastator was made of 6 individual Decepticons, and each can transform into a construction vehicle. These 6 individuals are Scrapper, the modest leader, the self-proclaimed chemist Mixmaster, Long Haul, a transporter's bone crusher, who can demolish everything into a wasteland at the drop of a hat, Scavenger, who salvages and mines and was desperately looking for an opportunity to prove his self-worth, and finally Hook, a condescending surgical engineer. Merged to form the terrifying Devastator, it took the shape of a savage against whom none stood a chance, and every Transformer appeared puny in front of it. These Constructicons later joined forces with Megatron when he waged a war against Optimus, but ultimately met their defeat. Terracons. No longer an Autobot, just a mindless beast. Its only instinct is to destroy everything in its path, as appropriately described by Megatron. Although the Terracons have different origins and different timelines, one thing that remained constant was their beastly attitude to destroy everything in their wake. In Generation 1 continuity, the Terracons were powerful combiners of 5 Decepticons, who could merge to form the powerful Abominus. While in the animated series titled Transformers Prime, the Terracons were dead Cybertronians who died, but were brought back to life by Megatron using the Dark Energon, which has corrupted them to their core. This petrifying group of Decepticons could change into mythological creatures instead of transforming into the usual cars and planes. The group was led by the insatiable 2-headed dragon Hun-Gur, and consisted of a grotesque-looking orc-like creature, Blot, a serial killer on wings, Cutthroat, the weakest among the lot but with a huge inferiority complex, Ripper Snapper, the dense Cindersar, and lastly the one with an awesome name but a repelling sadistic nature, Sinner Twin. However, the Terracons made their debut live-action appearance in Transformers Rise of the Beasts, and were seen serving the Harbinger of Chaos, Unicron. Scourge, who had a claw for a left hand, was the henchman of the planet-devouring Unicron. The other members include the female ninja Nightbird and the muscular Battletrap, assigned with the duty to find the transwarp so Unicron could speed up his planet-eating process. These ruthless robotic aliens could change into vehicles and were the brutal warriors doing the bidding of Unicron, who was playing God. The Combiners. A robot transforming into a vehicle is cool, but what's cooler is many robots combining to form a giant robot. And that is what Combiners do. Justifying their name, the Combiners were a faction from the Transformers universe where multiple Transformers could merge their bodies and minds to form a greater and newer being. These Combiners combine to form a newer robot that has its own personality and character, and is no doubt stronger than any Cybertronian. The most common and easily recognized form of Combiners is called the Gestalt, where 5 or 6 Transformers merge to form a new, completely different robot. However, this robot picks a personality or two from its individual Cybertronians. Although unpredictable and extremely erratic, both Autobots and Decepticons have Combiners, which aid them now and then in their ongoing conflicts. The first Autobot combination was called Superion, which was made of 5 individual aerial bots. One famous combiner was the supremely ruthless Predacon, made of several Predacons, who only saw his prey and the way he could obliterate it. A one-bot army, Predacon was malignant but also highly intellectual and intimidating in size. Vehicons. Serving as expendable soldiers in wars, the Vehicons served the Decepticons in the animated series titled Transformers Prime, and were treated no less than generic drones. Although described as mere drones by Starscream, they do seem capable of perceiving and feeling things. With their origin unknown, the Vehicons have been seen on Cybertron way before the Great War even began, and have battled in every Decepticon war. The Vehicons have 4 different versions. The first one, called the Troopers, are the usual foot soldiers who can transform into black, slick sports cars. The second unit, called Miners, are slightly smaller than the Troopers, and are not seen so commonly on the battlefields. Next are the Flyers, who are almost identical to the Troopers, except they can fly and change into aggressive warrior jets. Lastly, the second Flyers, aka the Seekers, are almost physically identical to the Flyers. The introduction of the Vehicons in the Transformers universe brought a new dynamic, with mechanical and organic life integrating to form a conglomerate threat to both the Autobots and the entire human race. Mutants. Originally known as Fusors, the Mutants were capable and fierce Maximal warriors, but soon fell victim to Megatron's dream of winning the Beast War. They underwent a drastic transformation when Megatron used the anti-conversion virus to lock the Transformers out of their robot forms. However, this plan didn't play out in his favor, and the virus granted the mutants the ability to switch between their dual beast modes, with their robot modes totally gone. They somehow managed to slip away from Megatron's grip and turned rebel on a mission, calling themselves the Mutants. Led by Iceberg, the group consisted of Poison Bite, Razor Claw, and Soundwave. These mutants did not consider themselves part of any factions, but instead carved out their own identity. They steered clear of both the Predacons and the Maximals. While the Maximals were tolerable, they had immense hatred for the Predacons. Already ferocious warriors, the virus bestowed them with new and refined abilities, like technokinesis, invisibility, and teleportation, to name a few. Although the mutants never made an appearance in the Beast Wars TV series, they are a beloved faction in both the toy and comics versions. Neither a mechanical robot nor an organic being, these mutants' identity crisis has chiseled their way into the Transformers universe as an intriguing faction, played an important role in the Beast Machines. It was a little dissatisfying that the mutant storyline was not explored.
Autobots, stop them!
G2 Cybertronians. Also known as Decepticons in Generation 2, the G2 Cybertronians were Decepticons who left Cybertron to find a new homeland for themselves when both Optimus Prime and the Decepticons went dormant for 4 million years, and the Autobot ship called Ark was lost. The faction of G2 Cybertronians was revived when they discovered the method of budding, which mass-produced them, and the Decepticons were able to exponentially increase their population rapidly. Although no longer emotionally connected to their once home planet Cybertron, these new Decepticons embarked on a journey to conquer the greater world for themselves. They were led by the tyrant G-Axis, who was determined to build a new Cybertronian empire free from the conflicts of Autobots and Decepticons. Tremendously aggressive in their approach, they felt the non-Cybertronian lifeforms were of no value and looked down upon them. In order to build a quality life, they go about conquering planets and eradicating their civilizations to build themselves their many little Cybertrons.
Covered them and went on the attack.
Minicons. The Minicons debuted in 2002 as part of the animated series titled Transformers Armada storyline, and instantly became a fan favorite, representing themselves as an entirely different faction from the Autobots and the Decepticons. With their own insignia, these Lilliputian-sized species were roughly the size of humans. Highly sought after by both Autobots and Decepticons, the Minicons had a special ability to merge with bigger and better Transformers through the process of power linksing, and in turn, bestow them with great strength and new abilities. Across the Transformers world, the Minicons' origin has been linked to various storylines. While in some continuities, they are depicted as Unicron's children. In others, they are seen as the descendants of Micronus Primus, the first Minicon. However, in the animated series Transformers Armada, the Minicons were created by the Devourer of Planets, Unicron, to serve as the destruction for the Autobots and Decepticons. But his plans are foiled when the Minicons develop their own free will and understanding. With the help of the Autobots, the Minicons fled Cybertron, which eventually helped them win a war against their evil creator Unicron. The introduction of this new faction paved the way for future alliances with these trusty Minicons, and made them an important addition to the franchise. Blinktrons. First introduced in the Super Lifeform Transformers Beast Wars Neo cartoon and manga, the Blinktrons were a unique and interesting addition to the Transformers universe. Although ugly to look at, these half-animal, half-Transformers were visually striking and an important part of the Transformers saga. A threat to Autobots and everything good, these robots had super strength and were capable of regenerating, which made them a fearful adversary to go up against, but a resourceful ally to side with. Created by the Harbinger of Chaos Unicron, the Blinktrons consist of Alpha Orpha, the Brainiac commander-in-chief of the group, and a cross between a killer whale and an elephant. He had the super strength to punch a hole through space, literally, and could travel through time and space. Another member of Unicron's vile crew was the most vicious Lara, who had no allegiance or devotion to anyone else and could sacrifice his own crew at the drop of a hat if it served his purpose. Lastly, it includes Terracon, the cold-blooded executioner of the group, who used his lethal weapons against his opponents, and they stood no chance against him. The fans see this deadly group of Blinktrons in action in the Beast Wars Neo cartoon, when they were sent by the Harbinger of Chaos, Unicron, to steal energy capsules, which Unicron planned to use later to revive and bring himself back to life. Although they were successful in doing so, they paid a heavy price for supporting the universe-devouring entity when Unicron absorbed the energy capsules along with the Blinktrons. Later, Blinktrons made an appearance in the 2006 IDW Beast Wars comic during the Great War, when Magmatron, who was stuck in limbo, decides to warn Leo Convoy and the Maximals about the impending doom on Cybertron. Unicron sends Blinktrons to the Earth to continue wrecking his frenzied rampage. Although Unicron was destroyed by a combining force of Maximals and Predacons, along with his minions, Blinktrons, these hybrid malevolents had the potential to emerge as worthy antagonists. Marvelous verdict. To sum it all up, the Transformers universe is replete with new additions and inclusions of factions and varieties, and is no longer about the constant conflict between the Autobots and Decepticons. There are many factions that pose an equal threat, as the Decepticons were once known for, and similarly, there are many factions who come in handy for the Autobots to save the universe from crumbling to dust. With the introduction of these vast, diverse factions, the Transformers universe has opened the door to various alliances and camaraderie. With the 2023 live-action film titled Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, the franchise has gone beyond the usual binary possibilities of pitting Autobots and Decepticons against each other. Each of these new varieties of robotic aliens has its own strengths, unique characteristics, and moral alignments that set them apart. While the Autobots and Decepticons could transform into vehicles, the introduction of Maximals who can change into beasts, or the Combiners who fuse together to form bigger Transformers, enriched the narrative and offered new power struggles and broader conflicts. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone!